Okay, hey, welcome again, sports lovers. Here you are again at the Unlikely Triathlete. And today, I've got another one of those interesting characters that we're going to have a chat to about being unlikely athletes and our various journeys in life. So today, we're going to be talking to Paul Bradford. Now, there's quite a list of things I got here for you, Paul, so bear with me. If I get some of it wrong, no doubt you're going to correct me and put us down the right road, right? So, Paul, bodybuilder, physiotherapist, triathlon coach, author of the sub 3 hour marathon, which I believe is available on Amazon, founder of the Win the Morning coaching, and currently, and for the past 20 years, I believe, you are a marketing manager, still in the medical field, and it's specifically to do with all kinds of fancy medical devices and gadgetry. So I think I got it right there, Paul. I believe your old man is the one that kind of got you in, bodybuilder, professional bodybuilder, if I remember correctly. And you said you started pumping iron around about age 3 or something like that. So let's start there. Welcome to the show, man. Awesome to have you. Spare us no gory details and give us all the cool shit. Let's inspire some people, man. Tell us your story. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rob. I'm delighted to be here. And well done. Kudos to you on that resume. You've gone all the way through from top to bottom without missing a beat. So, man, you were listening. Congratulations. All right. Well, listeners, it's a privilege to be here with Rob on the Unlikely Triathlete because that name very much fits me. I really, as a kid who couldn't swim, bike, or run growing up, to become a triathlete is quite a journey. And I've not done it alone. So I'll give you a very brief history of where I've come from. And yes, Rob, you've got it spot on. Inspired by my father, he was the hero in my life. He was a local businessman and a very amateur athlete, but a very good athlete. He was a bodybuilder, so that was his thing. So I grew up in a household where you ate chicken, you ate pasta, you lifted weights into heavy iron, and that gets into your blood. That gets into your DNA. And the great thing about that was my dad was the hero to me, but also my friends as we were growing up, right? You know what it's like, Rob. You're a teenager, you want to get kind of macho. And so my dad was a local guy who lifted the weights, and all my friends knew that. So it was kind of instant cred for me. Credibility was there. And yeah, I started training with him when I was, started going to the gym when I was 4 in that environment. Started training with him when I was 12. So I kind of very much dined out on the heavy iron mentality. Yeah, that was it. Lifted weights for many years. I competed myself. And what I'm most proud of is I captured the title that he had. He won it back in the day. He was the Northwest Britain champion. And I captured that as well when I was competing. So yeah, there we go. That's kind of the start to my kind of sports journey. But there are many things that happened on the way, which I'm happy to explore at any point. Ultimately ended up with me competing at the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Hawaii last year, running under 3 hours for the marathon on other events. So that's it. Happy to.
Wow, that's quite an amazing. Yeah, sorry, man. That's quite an amazing story. I know it started out there, and I guess we're going to get more into that. I know that it was one of the things that I picked out straight away is that you'd actually been to Kona. Now, I've been doing triathlon for quite a long time, and as you know, I'm a coach. And I've been chasing world champs myself in the 70.3 and in the full distance Ironman. And it's tough, man. That shit ain't easy, you know. But I keep working at it, and I'm going to get there one day. I might be the oldest person ever to get to Kona, but somewhere along the line, we're going to get there, right? So that aspect of the story immediately grabbed my attention because I know kind of some of your story from there. So take us to kind of the next stage in life, I guess, that, sort of led you down this pathway. Where did it come into, okay, I want to do a triathlon? What was the starting point for that? And then ultimately end up being at Kona.
Hey, it's all about the people you surround yourself with. That's right. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I just happened to meet in the area where I live some really keen, inclusive triathletes. And they very much welcomed me in. You've got to think about this. As a man with a young family and kids, like me taking like 4 to 6 hours out on a Saturday morning away from my family is not easy. And that is not where I started. We started off with just being invited. Hey, you should come along to the Saturday morning ride. We're going to go for a coffee 1 hour away. Good. Because 1 hour's riding was about the maximum I could do back then. But that was it. So it's really important and I try and pay that forward to be inclusive with all the sports stuff that I do. You can just see people are curious, put an arm around them, welcome them in, and then it sets them off on their path. So that's where it started, Rob. Swim, bike, and run, brought on by local athletes and now friends of mine. And then, of course, once you start to get into this environment, all roads lead to Kona. They do, right? So as you go through the distance of, hey, I'll try a sprint, you do that. And of course, we're very progressive type A personalities. Most of us here in this sport. Sprint, done. Olympic. That sounds good. 70.3, half Ironman, really? And then, of course, we like to stretch, put the work in, get there. Ultimately, I ended up doing an Ironman well over 10 years ago now. Got it done, and it wasn't not all sunshines and rainbows. So for those of you who may be listening thinking, Ironman, I can never do it. It must be easy for Rob and Paul. No, it's not easy for anybody. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So trust me, on that marathon of that first Ironman, I walked a 6.5 hour marathon in pain. But the point is that adversity gets under your skin. That's what makes it real. It's the struggle that you grow from. And yeah, as I mentioned, then you start to get into the legacy, the ethos, the culture of Ironman, and you know that it all originated back in Hawaii in the late 70s in Kona. And then you start to think, I wonder, wouldn't it be great to be there? But no, that's not me. But ultimately, you keep working away, keep plugging away. It took me 10 years to qualify for that event there, Rob. So when you say you're going to get there, you are going to get there, because that is the difference between, well, I hope I get there, and what I hear from you is belief you're going to get there. You're going to do the work to get there. So that was it. It took me 10 years to qualify, and then I hit a bit of a speed bump. So I was 4 weeks away from competing, had a bike crash, and I then wasn't able to get back to Kona until 2 years later. So small hiatus there in the plan. So, but we can dive into that as well. What I've learned from that experience.
Yeah, cool. Talking about Kona, hey, I remember when I started doing triathlon and the bug bit, right? And I loved and enjoyed it so much. I thought, like, well, if you're going to do Ironman, you want to go all the way, you want to do the full distance, but what better than to, like, the pinnacle of Ironman is Kona, right? I mean, that's the home of it all. That's where these three boys sat down in a bay somewhere and try to figure out who was tougher than who. And they said, well, let's do a long swim, a ride, and a run. And of course, I think the first race that they kind of put on was really just real haphazard stuff. I think maybe 15 or 20 guys were involved. But everybody wants to go to Kona, right? So I thought, okay, well, I'll sign up for a Kona race. And little did I know then, this is how little I knew at the time. I was like, okay, well, I'll sign up and go and do that one. Then I've raced in Hawaii. And I was like, oh, no, not so fast, buddy. You've actually got to qualify to come and race. I was like, oh, shit, I got to qualify. And so that set me off on a whole new journey. Well, I better get my shit together and I better start working hard, because I'd already made the decision in my mind. And I'm one of those guys that if I've made up my mind about something, I'm going down there, and that's what I'm fucking doing, right? So off I went on that journey. And I must say, a couple of years ago when they changed their format, because they got so many people involved now, they said, okay, well, 1 year we're going to do it in Kona, and then 1 year we're going to do it in France. Now, no disrespect to France, it's lovely down there in Nice, and it's a lovely course to ride, and I get their backing for it. But that really I was gutted about that, because now I had to try and qualify on every other year to be able to go to Kona. But I think what happened there is a lot of people were in the same boat, because obviously they reverted back now. So they've gone back to the old format, and I think all of them there. 70.3 is still all over the world, but the full distance Ironman Kona, my understanding now, if I'm correct, is it's all back there, because I think that's people want that authentic race, right? If you've gone all the way, that's where you want to be, eh? So I know somewhere along the line there were some medical aspects apart from the bike crash that came along and really kind of bit you in the ass, to put it plainly, right? You want to tell us a bit more about that, because that to me also was quite an incredible bump in the road, as you say, to overcome.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. It may be perceived to be strange. I do talk about this so openly. But it is, Rob, the best thing that ever happened to me. And in fact, we'll get into what happened. But this particular episode we call in our house the catalyst. The catalyst meaning this is the point which it all sparked and everything got different and better. Now, of course, you wouldn't plan for it. But from every adversity, look, I'm a huge mindset fan, Rob. In every dark situation, you reframe it, put positive spin on it, and look for what are the opportunities. And that's the way we very much approach this as a family. And it's important I say as a family, because this is very much a team effort. So, okay, to get to the point, 4 weeks away from competing. Now, at this point, this was during COVID, and we've talked just now about the Ironman World Championships, moving around Nice, Kona, back and forth. At one point, it was in St. George. and that was the one I was going to. And of course, that had to be done during the COVID situation. So yeah, 4 weeks away, I was out riding with a friend. Long ride, as you do, when you're 4 weeks out for a big race. And been out for, let's say, 4 or 5 hours, and I was half an hour away from home. And that's it. Had a crash with a vehicle, and I was doing 25 miles an hour. So for you metric folks, that's 40 k's per hour. And I went from that 40 k's per hour to 0 using my head as a brake. So I hit a stationary vehicle, and that's it. Had multiple fractures. I'm good with broken bones because as a physiotherapist, I get bones. They fix, they heal, they're okay. So the real injury was a traumatic brain injury, and your brain doesn't bounce too well. So that led to me being given a 10% chance of survival at the scene. I was airlifted off the scene by the local Northwest Air Ambulance crew, who I'm eternally grateful for. Otherwise, we would not be talking right now. And spent 3 months in hospital. And when I eventually came around from the coma, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't go to the bathroom. There's nothing I could do apart from blink. And it's been a long journey getting back to normality. So I guess the headlines are, it was massive teamwork. Healthcare professionals, family and friends around me. That triathlon community I talked about to begin with came around and supported me. So it's more than just training friends. They become friends, part of this family, trusted community. So teamwork, and then, which we'll get into, because I think this is about this podcast, Rob, and your goals. It's about setting your goals high, setting a North Star out there, which for me was ultimately getting to Kona. Regardless of all this speed bump, I'm going there. And you'll meet disbelievers who say, no. Let's just think about getting you back to work. I'm like, I'm going to get back to work. Don't worry about that. I like work. I love working. But we are going to Kona. So suddenly I was asked by the physiotherapist when I was in hospital and could not walk. It was a Friday. She was going off for the weekend. Hey, Paul, let's think about goals. I'm going to come back on Monday. You tell me what goals you want to do. Bearing in mind I couldn't walk. So on Monday she came back in. So, Paul, tell me about goals. I was like, well, 2 goals. 1, do a London Marathon within a year. I'm going to qualify for good for age. 2, going back to Kona. And looks of disbelief. But if you have conviction, and this is beyond hope, this is belief, this is true belief in your soul, you know it's going to happen. And it all has to start there with that power in your brain. Then you put the work in. We made it happen. So, made it there. Back to work within 6 months. I was told I'd be off for 18 months if I ever go back to work. I was back in 6 months because I said I would be. 6 months to the day, back in work. 12 months later, I ran a good for age time in London Marathon, and then Kona within 2 years. So that's the background. There's the highlights and some gritty parts within there, Rob. It is not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, man, you're quite right. That's an amazing story, and I really appreciate you sharing that, And there's obviously lots to dig into there. There's a few last bits to unpack there, but I think quite right, and I fully get that, because I've definitely walked a similar road where you reach that point where you've actually got to just believe, And what I like what you said there is sometimes it's more than belief, because people, it's a deep rooted belief, and it's more of a knowing, like you said, If you just within yourself, I know I'm going to walk again, you will walk again, And I think the massive thing is, a lot of people, the majority of people that end up in a situation like you, number one, people fall off a bike and have a bad crash, maybe break an arm, pop a collarbone, something like that, but don't end up with the serious injuries you had. And that's enough to say, okay, shit, I ain't doing this no more, right? And that you never see them on a bike again, right? Now, we grew up, my mom, bless her, love her to bits, but she was quite hardcore, She was a girl who grew up in Rhodesia in the bush somewhere, and we grew up on a farm, and we had a couple of crazy little farm ponies, and we spent our lives falling off those damn things. And that's always just stuck with me, Mom would always say, you got to get back on the horse. And I know that literally and figuratively, you got to get back on the horse. And from a very early age, that's always stuck with me. And it was quite often with tears and kicking and screaming, I ain't doing it, but you got back on the freaking horse. And if you're able to get over that threshold of actually doing that, you're like, oh, okay, I can still do this,
Mm-hmm.
And again, that for me is another, like an inspiration to get this show going, because the more people like you and I and all the other amazing guests I have had and will have on the show are those ordinary people who have been there and can tell those other ordinary people, hey man, just put that one foot in front of the other, have another go, believe it, know it, and it will come. You've got to manifest that shit and it'll come, you know. So kudos to you. I know you were in a coma there, I think for some time, wasn't it?
Yes.
But yeah, quite rightly, you got, you've got the support group. And I found that with any triathlon group, and people that I've spoken to, or guys that I coach or assist from around the world that are involved with other triathlon clubs, where I can't be hands-on in front of them. They say, oh, should I join a triathlon club? So, yeah, go and meet the guys, because they'll tell you all the cool places to swim, ride, and bike. Well, not only do they come back with cool ideas on where to swim, and hey, if you're scared of swimming in the ocean, we're all doing a swim on Sunday every 2 weeks or whatever, that kind of thing. But the camaraderie is always there. It's always there. And people are always there to encourage you and help you. You know what? The most common thing I find is like people say, hey man, don't go spending money on a tri-suit. I've got a couple. Just use this one until you're happy. Or I've got a spare wetsuit you can borrow, or here's a set of tri-bars for your bike. And it just encourages people and it gets them going. So from a sporting perspective and doing a triathlon or recovering from a coma after a crash on a bike and then getting on and then still ending up at Kona, that's a story we just got to tell people. And that's why you're here, man. I love that story, So tell us about the training from when you recovered from the coma and your injury, and then you started walking again. How long was it from there when you could? Let's go. Sorry, let me rewind a bit. Let's start from when you said, okay, now I'm going to start training for Kona. You had already qualified for Kona, I believe, and then there was a bit of a story about trying to get that moved because they're not happy to do stuff like that. So tell us from when you started training for Kona, how you went about getting your slot back and crossing that finish line. Fill that gap in for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Rob, where it wasn't easy, and that's what makes it more sweet, actually, when you get that success. So the situation was I qualified for the World Championships, which were in that year, were in St. George, Utah, which I believe is beautiful and it is on my list to go back there. But that's the one I was training for. Clearly, I couldn't make it. I was hospitalized. So my wife went to battle for me, meaning she contacted Ironman. And Ironman, wonderful brand. But there's some bad stories here. They're not flexible. And so initially, there was no real, other than, okay, we'll see how it goes. That was the message back to my wife, because she was looking to roll the place over. But I've got to say, action is what matters. And Ironman did come through. And I'm eternally grateful that they gave me this lifeline. And actually, in fact, they gave me two options. They said, okay, given where you're at and what you've been through, you can compete in Nice, which is in about 3 months' time, which clearly I was not ready for by the time I kind of got back into training, or we can roll it over to Kona the next year. Hands down, all in on Kona. So you can imagine this conversation, Rob. So Mel, my wife, given that we've been through a lot, and when people get sick, it's not fine, think about the patient, but it's the people around the patient who suffer the most. My wife has been through it. And so she was thinking, okay, so we can go to Nice in 3 months, or we can go to Hawaii next year. But Nice is going to be so much less money, right? And it's like 1 hour flight, 2 hour flights from the UK. Oh, it's going to cost us a fortune to go to Hawaii. And I was like, no, it is always going to be Hawaii. Not even a negotiation. So just to come back and say that Ironman were incredibly gracious and sensitive to the situation, and that's not usual, and I can't promise that'll happen to everybody. And I guess actually, Rob, it just comes down to people. The one person I got in contact with at Ironman took it on, took ownership, accountability, and really helped me out. So that's it. So that's the story, really. That's how the sights were set on the big island of Kona, and from there, yeah, gradually working back. And I think for anybody who's been through injury, and if you're a triathlete, an athlete of any type, you've been through injury. It just goes with it.
Par for the course.
It is. That's kind of an acceptance that, if you're putting yourself on the line, which we do voluntarily, at some point you're going to get some groans from the body. But yeah, so certainly starting back from ground zero, let's be honest, I couldn't walk. And then work your way up gradually, listen to the body, also use some really neat training software, which is TriDot, which is really good. That really takes the guesswork out and gives you numbers. The great thing about numbers is that numbers don't lie. They're objective. And so that's where I really start to use the TriDot software to help guide me through on the road, on the build back to being competitive.
Okay, so just a comment on the Ironman thing as well. I get it. It's a massive organization. It's a massive brand. It's extremely well organized. If anyone goes to an Ironman event of any kind, the half or the full, and I've mentioned it a few times on some of the other shows, people are often driven by that scene on the beach before the swim, or the vibe is just massive. So it is a great brand, and it's got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world moving and taking on things they can't. And I guess at that level, it's got to be really difficult to manage that kind of thing, rolling over races and that type of thing. There are rules, and when everyone signs up to the races, you read the rules and terms and conditions, and you sign up for them and you roll the dice. Yep. So, yeah, kudos to them, I guess, for getting you in there. It's quite a unique story, and I know they like that kind of thing as well, so they got you there, So from how long did you train for then for Kona? Did you do any other races between starting your training and Kona, like a B or C race? Or did you just train your block with your TriDot setup and just went through for Kona? How long was that period?
Yeah, so to be honest, Rob, I was training from day one. So the period for me, it was really a 2-year build to get there. And that's kind of just the way I'm wired. I just train every day. Now, I appreciate that training, everyone thinks, okay, it must be a threshold bike session. No. Training could be you move the body. If you're only capable of walking to the shop and back, that's your training for the day. So it was a 2-year block, really, Rob.
Okay.
And I guess the highlights in terms of races and the build-up. So it's 1 year out around a London Marathon, and that is not required. If you're thinking, do I need to run a marathon before I do my Ironman? It's not. It's more that's just such a great event. And I was running it for the charity that saved my life, Northwest Air Ambulance. So there's something I was giving back. So yes, I got fit. But it was giving back as well. Running for charity, running for a cause greater than yourself is certainly a tip I would give to anybody who's not sure about doing this marathon thing or an Ironman thing. If you can pick a cause to run for, to raise awareness and funds for, that genuinely speak to your soul, man, you're going to get to the start line and the finish line because you're not doing it just for yourself, doing it for a greater cause. So yeah, London Marathon 1 year out, and I did a 70.3 in Bolton, UK, 70.3 in the Bolton course, just about 3 months out away from Kona. And again, if you're going to a big race like that, like Ironman, I would recommend you do a short distance race, something like a 70.3 would be good because you want to just test your racing skills, which includes not just swim, bike and run and pacing, that's fine, but you do need to do that. But just things like, what do you eat the night before? What do you eat the morning of? Transition. What do I do with all my stuff here? It's very much multitasking on steroids when you do a triathlon. So yeah, that was it, Rob. London Marathon, 70.3 UK, and then ultimately Kona.
That's cool, man. I've actually got 2 athletes I'm working with at the moment that are doing London Marathon next as well, and then they want to do their first 70.3s after that. So we're kind of looking at Bolton, Weymouth. It is a nice way to go, and definitely agree, if you're going to do a full distance Ironman, I typically like to at least 3 months out, do like a 70.3, because as you say, it's never just really the swim, bike, run thing. Hey, that's maybe half of it, right? If half even, because it's the nutrition, it's the transitions, it's the night before, it's the day after. It's just and that's what I love about the sport. It's just such a massive package. It's so much to look at, so much to think about. I really, really enjoy that. So your 70.3 that you did in Bolton was about 3 months out. How did you do on that one? What were your times like there, if I may ask? How did you feel after that one?
I bombed.
Oh, really?
Bombed, but I learned a ton of things. Yeah. So, swim, bike, and run is the event. Swim was good. Bike was good, and I pretty much walked the half marathon on that day due to some long-standing GI issues that I've got, which I'm still working through. I've got to the point where I can manage them, but that's it. But the point is, whether I did it in 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, or 7 hours is irrelevant. For me, that my very much approach to all these things is what did I learn that I can apply to next time. It's part of life. So certainly I learned on my nutrition. Some things I need to tweak there to get it right. And then that paid off when I got to Kona. So, the half Ironman was a learning experience, Rob. It certainly wasn't a PB by any stretch. And, but yeah, I emerged stronger from it. But that's, as I said before, I reframe every adversity as a learning. What did I learn from this? I learned a lot from that day.
100%, man. And that's the reason I asked that question, because again, a lot of people in your situation might have said, oh, shit, I'm 3 months out. I couldn't even do that. I'm screwed. There's no ways I'm going to do this. And you go down the wrong road, or they go, okay, shit, I'm learning something from this. And they get up and they go. And again, that's why I like to speak to guys like you, because at that fork in the road, I think less people take the tough road and just keep moving, and they need to learn, they need to find that catalyst or that ingredient or that whatever it is in them that makes them make the tough choice, because the end result always feels better, doesn't it? So that's why I kind of threw that in there. So then we fast forward up. Kona, man, I'm going to turn up there one day, and I get excited when I just think about it, Kona in itself, if you rate all the Ironman races around the world, I think number one at the top is Lanzarote, which I believe is quite similar to to Hawaii, to Kona, in so much as it's racing through the lava fields. It's always windy. It's pretty damn hot. It's a good choppy swim in the ocean, and there's a bit of hillage involved, right, on bike and run. So in itself, the race is a bastard. I don't know where it ranks up, but I guess it's probably in the top 10 as far as tough races go in a couple of hundred around the world, Yeah. So you turn up on the day, and I've certainly seen the picture of you getting through that finish line, man. I've never seen a happier face. So tell us how race day went. Come on, take day before to during the race and after. Give us the lowdown, man.
Yeah,
I want to hear all about the shits in the toilet and everything. Give us the go.
This is going to get gritty, people. So hide your children. It's going to get gritty.
No, bring them out.
So for this race, so it depends which website you read, which magazine you read, but generally the top 3 races in the world for toughness, Ironman races, Lanza, Kona, Tembe, so Ironman Wales. And I certainly, having experienced 2 of those 3, Wales and Kona, I would agree with that. Never done Lanza yet. But yeah, so tough courses, but it's not just about the course. It's about the conditions, the humidity, the crosswinds you get in Hawaii. What I would say is that in terms of what's the best race, it depends how you look at it. For me, Kona, the experience of Kona is hands down the best race I've ever done. And it's more than just a race. If you think about the heritage of this, the legacy of where this all came from. Certainly when I first got into triathlon, I started watching the Kona event every October. We have, of course, dominating the sport back then was Chrissy Wellington. 4 times Kona Ironman champion, retired 13 races unbeaten, held the Ironman distance world record for a while as well. So I grew up watching her. She was, of course, British. Got me fired up, and then you start to get into that. Then you go back a generation, think about the Iron War, 1989, Dave Scott and Mark Allen, the greatest race ever run. And I genuinely mean that. So I kind of guess I'm geeking out on history here, but I love legacy. I love history and heritage. And so when you get to Kona, you feel that. You made a point. I mean, Ironman do a great job anyway. So they put a great show on for you in any race you get to, be it 7.3 locally. But when you go to Kona and you qualified for it, you can't just say you qualified for it. Meaning Ironman, make you feel like $1 million. It's just so special. So yeah, to get into then the detail, when we got there, then the day before, or rather 2 nights before, because of course the night before race day, it's like you're getting your nutrition ready, you're panicking. So 2 nights before the race, Ironman have this kind of big welcome dinner, big buffet, and it's just like the good and the great are there. You've got people like Mark Allen there speaking. The heroes and heroines of our sport are at this big outside dinner with you. You're thinking, man, I've arrived. So that's it. So I could highly recommend for anybody who has got a curiosity about Kona, who thinks one day I'd like to get there. My advice is go all in, commit fully to make the grade to get there, because it's just such a great experience. beyond just to swim back and run. Just the whole thing is just great, and you feel it when you get off the plane. I guess. Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry, yeah, it's elite, eh? Even when you get to Kona, you've achieved something, and there's a very small group of people in the world, probably less than 1%, I think, if you look at some of the stats, that actually do triathlon, let alone a full distance Ironman race, let alone get to Kona, And you're quite right. If you get all the way there, you have arrived, But I'm going to talk about this a little bit towards the end as well. I'm going to come back to this. About getting to that position. It is elite. You have achieved something, but we're going to go back and talk about how ordinary people are getting there. And we'll talk about that just now. So now you've had your massive buffet. I'm sure, no doubt, was carbs, and more carbs. No doubt you laid off all the booze and all the good stuff because you saved that for the last day after race day. Tell me about the vibe, man. What's the vibe like there in the morning when you lined up there and you've got that you got swim cap on and your goggles on and you just lined up ready to go in the drink? That must just be the most incredible feeling. The crowds.
It is absolutely incredible. Just kind of paint a picture of some of the folks out there who maybe are starting to hear about some of the heroes of triathlon. So we leave the hotel, and the good thing was one of my friends who I train with, my training partner, also qualifies. As with our families, we work together. So we left the hotel at 4 a.m. to head down to the start, and you could see this person running past us at 4 a.m. Who's out there running at 4 a.m? And really distinctive date, and it's Mirinda Carfrey, who's also a former Ironman World Champion. Just ran past us. Wow. So that was so cool. So we got down to the start line, got the swim caps on, and then there's people on the road cheering us as you go into that funnel. We go to the swim funnel, and you start to get corralled towards the swim start. And there's a familiar face there, familiar voice to my left saying, "Guys, well done. You've made it. Well done. Have a great day." There's a guy called Bob Babbitt. And Bob is one of the original Ironman guys who is now still has a podcast and a YouTube channel, Breakfast with Bob. In fact, I was watching it this morning when I was on the turbo this morning, was the latest episodes from the Nice World Championships. And so Bob was there. So I stopped and shook him by the hand. It's like, it's so fitting that you are here because you're the guy I've been listening to for 10 years. And you're here at the start of my race. So that just kind of built the energy more. And then, Ironman did a great job. And so kind of to get towards your age group start, they turn the music up. They get towards the big speakers. And they put on a track I love, AC/DC Thunderstruck. And that goes through you. It's got such a big build-up. So if you're there with your swim cap on and your skin suit, it's a non-wetsuit event, and they play that, oh man, the adrenaline was through the roof. So that was it. And then we're all in the big wash with the dolphins and the turtles, and you get up there for 2.4 miles, 3.8 Ks. So a special swim.
Oh, that's brilliant, man. I've been at a couple of those races, hey, and I don't want to call them the minnow races, but it's not Kona, right? Sure. The vibe there, I can just only imagine what it's going to be. And that just, for me, just inspires me to keep going. I'm like, well, one, you've done it. So now I've really got to play some catch up and get there, right? But yeah, man, just absolutely amazing. And talk about those dolphins as well. I raced in Busselton in Australia a couple of years ago. And I just remember, in fact, it wasn't a couple of years, maybe 2019, if I remember correctly. But that was actually my first full distance Ironman. And of course, all the butterflies and all the scary shit, and it was a staggered start, a rolling start. And I remember getting in the water and then swimming out along that pier in Busselton, which is quite famous for it. And I was in about 100 or 200 meters in, and this whole school shoal, whichever one you call them, of rays just came and swam underneath me, but probably a dozen of them, And just something in me twigged, and it just said, "This is your day, man. This is going to be amazing." And my whole mindset changed. I settled into a rhythm. It was just like the universe said, "Dude, you're in the right place. Keep fucking going, man." And it was amazing. So I can imagine a place like Kona, you jump in there and then there's freaking dolphins around you and mermaids. I don't know what else pops up in your mind, But it's just awesome, man. Okay, so just race day, you've gone in the swim, you've come out the bike. Yep. Was there any stage in that race? I can't imagine that any stage in a race at Kona, you get to a point where you don't think you're going to make it because the crowds won't let you. And the vibe, the energy, the adrenaline of the whole thing. But how did you find the race at Kona? Was it what you expected? Was it tougher than you thought? What pulled you through? And finish off with telling me that moment of crossing that finish line and be a devil. Tell us how well you did.
Okay. Like any race of that duration, you're out there racing all day, you hit tough spots. So we talked about the wildlife in the swim. We've got rays, we've got dolphins. Now, of course, in that weekend in Kona, there's an infestation of athletes from all over the world come there to do the race. But also there was an infestation of jellyfish. Box jellyfish came in. Big swarm, which kind of you've heard about. And people like Danielle Rodriguez have been stung badly, went on to win. She kind of battled through on the day. But bear in mind, it's a non-wetsuit swim. So you just have your swim skin on. So you're quite exposed. I came out of the swim, not feeling great. Second half of the swim, it just didn't feel great. Don't know what it was. But I felt like my wetsuit was really raking my neck. Someone was really raking it. Bear in mind, it only occurred to me later, as he wasn't wearing the wetsuit. So whatever was raking my neck turned out to be box jellyfish. So I was stung from head to tail by box jellyfish. And then so hit T1, delirious. Or had a very bad reaction. Given that it's not just a sting, it's a neurotoxin. And given that I'm already neurologically have a challenge anyway, given my previous head injury, I'm not the most coordinated of people anyway. So put it this way, I'm about to exit T1 with my bike. I fell over, hit the deck. Just so delirious. And of course, the Ironman photographer got that on camera as well. my moment of fame was the last T1. I was on the floor. And that kind of set the tone for the day. So I was out there on the bike, and I'll be perfectly honest, Rob, I was delirious. Of course, I knew where I was. But I was disorientated, and I couldn't get into my time trial position, because as soon as I did, and that, of course, it makes such a big difference. You want to get down there to cut down the wind resistance. I started to fall asleep. I could feel my face beginning to droop, like a facial palsy, because of the neurotoxin. And to be perfectly honest, the parts of the bike, I've got big black parts of no memory at all. So I got it done. And it's this great event where I was thinking, I want to look forward to this for forever and look back in it forever. There are parts of that day where I just have no recollection whatsoever. But again, that's part of the adversity we battled through. And so I got into T2. Very grateful to get off that bike eventually.
Always.
And then went out and started to run. Of course, 42K, 26 miles. And ultimately, I was out in the lava fields well after dark, in the middle of the night, getting it done, because it was only at that point then that I was starting to become more conscious about what happened. I put it all together. It was the jellyfish, and I could start to see these things coming through my body. I was like, that's why I feel so strange. But the point is, I have a mindset that I never, ever quit. And certainly, you think about in the Navy SEALs, for example, when they train so hard. And the moment they want to quit, they ring the bell. And that indicates, I'm out, I'm tapping out, I'm done. And in Team Bradford, my family, we have a motto: we never, ever ring the bell. We never do. We never quit. Once we commit, we're in. And I'm in, all in. So that was it. So with support of my family, who did accompany me on part of that run. No outside assistance allowed, of course. But I was in such a bad way, Rob. My wife was seriously concerned that I was just going to keel over, and that'd be the end. And given what she's been through in the previous year's trauma, she was very concerned. So as a team, we made it home. And across that finish line, to give that kind of finishing point there, as I was perhaps 1 mile away from the finish, I could hear them playing the final countdown by Europe, that great track. And that's signal to me, if I don't make it in the year, I'm going to DNF. I'm not going to make the finish. And certainly my eldest boy, who's 17, he's very switched on. So he was doing the maths. Dad, if you don't get a move on, you're not going to make the finish. So he was doing the maths. So we got to the finish line with 20 minutes to spare. 16 hours and ballpark 40 minutes. And my slowest time ever. Did it matter to me? No. What mattered is the fact is, as a family, we set that goal, that big goal, and we got it done. Sometimes, Rob,
dude, you finished Kona.
Yeah, there we go.
You finished freaking Kona, man. You know what I mean? And I tell you what, that's the thing I think that people also, there's no shame in your time that you finish. That's absolute bollocks, right? So I can tell you I was just over 15 hours to finish Lanzarote. So I've got one up on you there. You can go and do it in 15 or 14. I think it was 5 or 10 minutes over 15 hours, you know. It was the toughest thing I'd ever done, man. But you do it, right? And I can tell you now, it's still one of my main goals is to finish an Ironman race in freaking daylight, man. You know,
There you go.
not after
That's
dark
the
when
goal.
it started drizzling and everyone's
Yeah.
buggered off home and they're all waiting
Yeah.
for me to come across the line, you know. So all those cool things are there, man. Hey, listen, awesome. Congratulations on that and well done. That's an incredible story, you know. So I guess I want to take it from there now because you've got a day job, right? And it's the medical field that we've talked about. But obviously, clearly in the background over your shoulder there, we've got Win the Morning. So just tell me a little bit about, because not only did you start triathlon and then start training and then qualify for a race and then try and kill yourself and then recover from that and then go to Kona and finish Kona, fighting off man-eating boxfish and devilish mermaids and whatever else was out there, right? And you then thought, fuck this, I'm going to go and coach people. What made you coach people? Tell us a little bit about Win the Morning, how that came about, and where you want to go. I know it's quite new, and kudos to you for that, and all the best with it. But tell us a little bit about that and the transition to that.
Thank you, Rob. It's a topic very close to my heart because if you think about the progress you've made, we've all made, we've been led by other people, other coaches ahead of us to lead us forward, shine light on the path because they know the score. And I think about what got me to where I got to in life and sport is due to great people, great coaches who are not necessarily classed as coaches, but just great mentors, people who inspired me. So I wanted to pay it forward. That's it. I've learned so much on this journey, Rob, and I've hit a lot of speed bumps and I've learned a ton. And I want to help other people get through this pathway, this map from A to Z a lot faster, a lot cleaner than I did. So I can save people a lot of pain. And that's what I love to do is to help people. Firstly, I like people who are curious. They think, hey, I wonder if I could do this thing. I love those people.
Yeah.
And then when they start to then go for it, like me, they've got to be all in. Like for me, commitment is binary. It's on or it's off. So when you ask somebody if they're committed, they go, yeah, kind of. That's a no. That's a zero. So I'm kind of looking for those kind of people like me who've got a big dream, big ambition, and when they commit, they're all in. And thankfully, the athletes I've got right now do that. They're fully committed, and they're not professionals. They're like me. They've got every reason not to do it. Families, which they love to have, family first. They've got careers. They travel a lot. Like me, I travel 50% of the year. Half the year, I'm away from home, out the country, working. Every excuse not to do things, but the people I love who just get through it anyway. And why the name Win the Morning is because given my role, I'm spending all this time away. So whenever, on any given day, if I'm working out of the country and I say, maybe I'll go for a run later. Well, one, it's a maybe, not a belief, not conviction. Yeah. And maybe never happens because other things happen. So very much my approach has always been get up in the morning and do what's best for you, which sounds kind of selfish, but let me walk you through it. If your thing is get up and train in the morning, be it swim, bike, run, be it walk with your dog, then do that first, because then when you emerge from that, by the time the world needs you, by the time Instagram wakes up, you've already made an investment in yourself and you're full of endorphins, you've got the blood pumping, you've got blood to the brain, so you're thinking more clearly and more sharply, and you're a better version of yourself. So that's been very, very much the Win the Morning approach I followed for years. And just locally, I've kind of got the reputation as this WTM guy, the hashtag you see on my shoulder. And that's kind of stuck. And I was thinking about a brand for the coaching business. I've been coaching for many years under Paul Bradford coaching. But I wanted something more that is more intuitive. So very much my brand is about winning the morning. Just get up, get it done early, and then meet the rest of the world a much better version of yourself. That's it.
Love that philosophy, man. Simple philosophy, but yet people make it so complicated to adhere to. It's really not that hard because it's just habit, right? Once you start getting up a little earlier or taking those cold showers, I always tell people just get the cold showers, you know. And I think what goes hand in hand with that, one of the things I always push as well is like, and I'd like to think I coined it. I didn't. I think it's a Goggins thing, but You got to do something every day, every single day of your life. Do at least one thing that you absolutely fucking hate doing, right?
Yes.
And that calluses the mind. That might be the cold
Yeah.
shower. That might be get up and walk the dog. That might be whatever it is. But I absolutely agree with you. Take care of yourself first, man, and let the rest of the day happen, because you've already set yourself up. You've got the right endorphins flowing. You've got the blood pumping. You're good to go, you know. So, yeah, man, I really, really like that. And I think you're onto a fantastic thing there. You know, obviously, you know, I'm a coach as well, over and above doing this podcast. And I work and talk to a number of coaches. And there's so much scope out there. There's so many athletes out there. There's more than enough sunshine for everyone, you know. So I've never looked at other coaches as competition. Other coaches are different philosophies. They coach a different group of people, a different demographic, or whatever the case may be, you know. So I love talking to coaches, because you always get a little something from another coach, right? We're always going to learn. The rest of our lives will be learning something. And I always like to think I'm open doors like that. Like, give me some shit, show me something. How do I do better, you know? And I really like that. And I think that all falls into the whole coaching aspect of things. So I guess to kind of round that up, Paul, you know, to the guys listening, and I say this with all the love and respect in my heart, right? So here's a guy who started out pumping iron at an early age. His dad was a great role model, a very tight on family. There's obviously a massive support group there. Those are key fundamentals I think everyone can look at. And if you didn't have the luxury of that in your life, don't make that an excuse or a problem, you know. Create that for yourself, because there's a starting point for everything if it wasn't there or it's been taken away, you know. Then I think from there, we've got a guy who's a bodybuilder, right? Now, a bodybuilder has no fucking right doing an Ironman race, right? It's like a front row forward in a rugby team. What the hell's he doing out there? But hey, he got out there and did it, right? He then went on and kind of showed us that he didn't really know how to ride a bike. Or maybe did I say that in jest, right? Ends up in hospital, in a coma. They tell him he ain't going to make it. He gets out of freaking bed. He learns to walk again, right? He gets his shit together. He gets on with it. He puts one dodgy foot in front of the other. He gets out the fucking door, and he goes up against the grain, against the rules where they say we can't defer. He gets a deferral on his Ironman race. He goes to Kona World Championships, which in itself is a massive fucking thing to achieve, right? He goes to Kona, and he very, very proudly finishes with 20 minutes to spare, right? At the world's biggest event race in the name of triathlon. I'm sorry, there is nothing else at the moment that people would aspire to if you really want to hit the pinnacle there. And I think quite smartly coined this thing yesterday. You, Paul, are another one of those extraordinary, ordinary people. And I say that with all the love and respect in my heart, you know. And that is what I love. And that is what this fucking show is all about, you know. Because it's the everyday, ordinary people that I want to tell, and I want you to tell, and all the people I speak to influence to say, you guys are ordinary, but there is an extraordinary something in there somewhere. And watch these shows, talk to people, build the right base of people around you, get the right energy levels, and you can freaking do anything. Paul can do that race. I've been working my ass off to get there, and I will get there. Anybody can do it. Right, Paul?
Indeed. If
Absolutely,
you believe
man.
within you, get the right people around you, and get to work and make it happen. Believe, people. Truly believe and do the work. It will happen.
Paul, been absolutely awesome having you on the show, man. And no doubt this is going to touch some hearts and people with similar circumstances. And I'm not even going to say, let's hope it influences them. It's going to influence them. You know, people are going to be inspired by this thing, right? So a couple of things from you. You mentioned a couple of dodgy photos of falling off bicycles and things like that. I'm going to chase you down on those. And we might find an opportunity to pop them in somewhere here or there in the show. Also, man, you know, I'm all about, I know we've spoken about the charity, the guys that saved your life, that you owe a lot to, and I know you do a lot of good work with them. So I'm going to chase you down after this anyway, and I'm going to get some links and things like that, and I'd love to have you in my show notes or whatever at the bottom with, you know, your various links. Tell us about your Win the Morning. If guys want to find you and get a hold of you there. And also if guys want to help out and contribute towards the air ambulance setup of things. Other than that, man, dude, all the best to you in your Win the Morning business. Also, again, we're going to put a shout out to your book. I had a scrounge over it. It's pretty good. It's nice and simple. It's in lay terms. Anyone can pick it up and go, hey man, I can do a sub. Was it 3 hour marathon?
Sub 3.
It's worth looking at. It's on Amazon there, guys. So go and check that out. And then from my side again, as always, guys, be inspired. Get out there. Never stop moving, man. Anything is possible. And from here at the Unlikely Triathlete, tell your friends all about it. Share, like, all that good shit. And of course, subscribe, man, because there are going to be plenty more shows with plenty more cool dudes to talk to and dudettes, no doubt. And let's change the world, man. Let's all get out there and take on those challenges that we think are above us, but we kick their asses and we get on with it. Paul, take care, buddy. It's been awesome chatting, and we'll be in touch soon in the week again. Thanks very much.